London Pride 2019. No one knew then that it would be the last time that we would get together for almost 3 years and counting. Our community looked so happy and together, accepting of each other like nothing and nobody could separate us. However, sometimes that is not really the case. There are often uncomfortable truths that we fail to acknowledge about ourselves, including the way we treat and fail to look after each other, which can have monumental consequences to the well-being of people within our queer community. At a time when we are under siege from society and the media, left, right and centre, how can we, within ourselves, make love win? My name is Nathan and I'm a gay autistic writer from London. Now, as an autistic man, I know firsthand what it's like for people to treat you badly, which can make you feel lonely and isolated as a result. And if I'm honest, I can still feel lonely now. But I thought that when I came out, I would finally find other people around my age who would accept me for who I am. And this has happened in many nice ways, but I have also been shocked at the level of hatred, negativity and discrimination that we in the LGBTQ+ community can do towards each other. And for this Amplify project, I wanted to get along some people I know to help me find out how we can make our tribe a more inclusive, welcoming and accepting place for all. We have a photographer and fellow Amplify participant, Alex Clovis, up-and-coming actor in ITV's The Bay, David Carpenter, friend from my old LGBTQ+ youth club, Kaiden Myers, co-founder of the new queer organisation Across Rainbows, Nick Cousins, budding theatre actor in Priscilla, Oliver Edward, Skin, spoken word artist and fellow autistic person, Ushiku Crisafulli, DJ Buddy Cook.
People DM me quite a lot going, you're not bisexual. I go, why? And they're like, you got a girlfriend. And I go, I mean, I came out to my mum and she was like, you're not bisexual, you like girls. What? That's the definition. It's so confusing. Even the other day, my sister was like, are you sure you're bisexual? And I was like, what? And I was like, And then we ended up in a debate with an 11-year-old about my sexuality. I'm like, oh fuck, I think I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, how do I prove it without saying in very graphic detail that I like guys? I don't want to explain it to an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't need not go into detail, but I'm like, she's like, well, you wouldn't date one. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't.
Being queer immediately forces you to have a certain level of wariness, of anxiety, just because for a lot of people, you grow up policing yourself, internalizing a lot of things that you get externally, and all of that is it just feeds into anxiety because you're constantly thinking about how am I perceived, how am I engaging with others, what's okay, what should I be, and what am I. So it very much just allows or emphasizes any kind of notion of anxiety or any kind of mental issue that you might be experiencing, for sure.
Just because someone's not romantically interested doesn't diminish the quality of yourself. And I think, as a society, we view relationships as really important, and relationships are really important. But relationships in whole, like relationship with your parents, relationship with your siblings, relationship with your friends, is also just as important as a relationship with your partner. But we view relationships with your partner so much higher than all of those other ones, that we value that if I'm not in a relationship, then there's something wrong with me, or there's something that is less than.
Yeah, DMs have literally demanded I prove that I was bisexual. And I was like, I'm not going to show you me getting with a guy. My personal life is my personal life. I don't have to share it with you online. Why do I have to prove myself? Yeah, and it's just one of those things. Whereas it's just I guess it's difficult. But I think at the end of the day, it's great to have these labels so we can understand it all.
Yeah.
But I think I wish we could live in a world where we didn't need the labels. You know, like,
No, I know what you
I
mean.
love people. My preference is bi. You know, it doesn't have to be. You know, I am a bisexual, and yeah.
Being on Grindr, it aided in my depression because of the sense of worthlessness.
Yeah.
It was just like, am I not good enough? The years I've spent in education and being smart or being a nice person does not count. And you just feel like a body, you're just an object.
So I read some good books after therapy, and I had therapy, and all those tips I said to my mates. Then my other mates have their own experiences, they said it to their mates. And recently, it's all been this circle. You know, my mate broke up with his girlfriend, we all looked after him.
Yeah.
Bang! Straight after I broke up with my girlfriend, they looked after me.
Oh.
My other friend was really unhappy, we looked after them. It's like you drop everything, go to their house. And someone's like, no, you don't do it for me, you know, you've got your own life. I would rather spend 4 days looking after you, which could make a huge difference in your life, than 4 days doing whatever the crap I was meant to be doing, all the procrastinating on my laptop that I would have done. Like, some chat, shit, you know, I would have looked at my laptop, played some music for 4 days. This could mean huge impact on your life and mental health. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you never know with people, especially with severe mental health. I'm not trying to make anyone paranoid, but what could be that last time? You know, what if I hadn't gone to see them? What if I hadn't been in that moment? Because I have been in that moment where I said to someone, they went, oh, do you want to show me this? I was like, oh, next time. There was no next time. They're gone. And I will never be able to take that back. I did not have time for them, and I'll never see them again. And so for me, it's like, community is everything.
I'm going to be honest and say I don't feel supported at all by the LGBT, industry, by the queer industry at all. I mean, how many front covers have you seen? I mean, I am probably the most famous Black lesbian in the country. And in terms of rock stars, you know, it's just me, right? How many front covers of gay magazine? I've never been on the front cover of Attitude. I've never been on the front cover. I've been on the front cover of Diva a few times. That's it. I've never had a feature really in Attitude magazine. You know, they have hot straight men and hot gay men, and now are starting to kind of have a few different kinds of people on, literally within the last 3-4 years. But you know, if they don't think you're hot, then they're not putting you on the front cover, or you know, and even though I am. But the point of it is, you know, I'm being silly, but the point of it is that they, you know, the gay magazines have not really supported me at all, apart from Diva magazine. Back in the day, there was a magazine called Boys, and that was a bit better. But yeah, but no. I mean, they kind of ignore me really, and I think it's because I don't. From two sides of it, I'm a Black female woman. Yeah, and also I make rock music and not pop music. If I made pop music or some music that they wanted to represent or they thought their followers were into, house music or something, then I think then that would make a difference. But being Black and female and queer, and being a rocker is, you know, they don't want to talk about that. So no, I feel very unsupported.
Even though people go on the app for many different reasons, even if I would just message people like, oh, I like that outfit, or where did you get it from? Just being friendly. Just an instant block. Or they would just say, all right, oh, I'm not into Black guys, and just block. Or if I don't have a picture up and then I post a picture, they would just block. I'm like, okay, cool. You do you. But even though you try not to think that it's your fault, you just try and say like, okay, that person just isn't into you, like not everyone's going to be into you. But then when it happens numerous times, it does have an effect on you, especially when I remember there was a time back when I was 19, 20, before there was this whole argument about how Grindr should get rid of the ethnicity filter. People would be in the comments like, okay, no Blacks, no Asians, no fat people. Like, it was very discriminatory. It was a very bad place. I mean, it still is a bad place, but it was very direct and in your face.
It removes the intimacy, like an intimacy, using it as a word of connection, not about like sexual ideas. It kind of removes all that from everyone, and we kind of just see people as blank profiles, or just, a torso, or very skin deep, and it's all about that sexual gratification. I'm not saying I took a test once and it came back sex positive. I'm not someone who is a prude when it comes to sex. I'm very much go and have sex, go and have like loads of sex, enjoy it. But what I do find is that with dating apps and the way we're at with, the way gay men in particular communicate is through sexual gratification and sexual intimacy, which, at the end of the day, when you're basing a relationship on that, it doesn't last long, because once that fire goes out, or that spark, it usually ends up with, people getting very hurt. And I think with dating apps, it kind of creates a hierarchy by nature of the more ideal, which we all kind of understand what the ideal is in our own ways of what you value, and what you don't value, which usually tends to be very, the marginalized people of our own society, community, which tends to be older, or people who are part of the BME community, and I think we kind of put people into those categories, which, it can kind of reflect in you of like, oh, your value is based on how many people tap you on Grindr, or like you, or your likes on Instagram. But reality doesn't really reflect that, because you might be very popular on Instagram and show off this great lifestyle, but really, are you really that happy? Are you having really connections that mean something?
In terms of apps like Tinder or Bumble, it's not so direct, but when you do socialize with your friends and you talk about, oh, how many people you've matched with and stuff, you then do realize that you're having the least matches. And you start to question yourself, even though you might be using it more often or not, but you still have less matches than these people that I would say are more conventionally attractive in the community. I've had everything. I've been told I don't consider myself too feminine, but I've been told I'm too feminine, or I'm too skinny, or even though I'm 24, I've been told I'm too old or too young. I'm like, okay, I mean, it's fine, but sometimes it's just too much. And I think that our community is very obsessed with sex. And so because of that, everything is just very shallow. And so everything is just unlike, okay, so how old are you? How tall are you? Are you a top or a bottom? Like, everything has to be either this or this. Like, but how we can sort this issue out is literally to work on ourselves. Because I think most of these issues are caused by our own trauma. Not being most of us, I would probably say, haven't been accepted growing up, and we've struggled with our own sexuality. So we feel like we have to be perfect. So when people say, okay, I'm not into Black guys or Asian guys, or I'm not into this kind of type of person, is because generally as a society, we kind of look down on those people, and we oppress them in so many ways, and we reflect those same negative values on our own people.
So I did watch a lot of Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, growing up. They was like some of the biggest LGBT, plus YouTubers right there, so it was cool to see them. It was like, okay, this is really nice. And then I saw a lot of sort of boyfriend tags on YouTube as well. Oh God, what's his name? I forgot his name, but he was like my childhood crush. Nick Horton, that's his name, Nick Horton. Oh, Absolutely
Oh,
love him.
that makes two of us.
Yeah, but you know, seeing videos like that was very inspiring because it was like, oh, like this is actually a thing. Like people actually get together. People can love each other that are like me. You know.
It's been a long journey on apps, and I'm happy that I'm no longer on them at the moment because I feel like I've become burnt out.
Yeah.
It would be nice if our community could become more open and comfortable in public, that we can actually meet each other and form genuine relationships, and friendships. But when it's online, it's really aided in us being disconnected at the same time.
Yeah.
And that the interesting thing, when I say that, it comes back to how I say that Pride used to be a protest. When people used to meet up in groups, they form genuine relationships and they're able to form groups that can actually push forward a political message more. But when it's an online connection, it feels more artificial in some sense.
Our value is based off of our looks and not based on the kind of quality of the person that we have. And, you know, it's very easy to, if you're good looking, to pass on and get lots of attention. But, you know, eventually those looks do fade and you walk into that club and not many people are giving you notice because there are some new people who are coming in who are getting all the attention now. And it's a very sad, and there's actually a story behind that because a friend of mine was saying that he went to this bar and he ran into someone who was in his early 30s and he was distraught. He was really upset because he's been single for a while. He's not getting enough attention. And he said he feels like he's on the scrap heap, you know, because there's newer models coming in and everything. And, you know, he's not getting as much attention. And my friend told me before, he was literally a very beautiful young twink using, you know, those were his words, but, and, you know, he got all the attention. You walk in, everyone gave him attention. And, you know, that's, you know, when you're basing it off of physical looks, you're not connecting to someone. And I think a lot of people, this is where we're getting to in the community. And this is what the impact is on the community, is that we're not connecting to each other. We're not sexually, yeah, great. You know, like there's loads of sex and I'm sure there are people who are connecting and having great friendships, but on a whole and in general, I feel it's very much anonymous and, you know, trying to get those likes.
I'd say, because obviously when you think about businesses, there's always a real lack of communication between different stages of people who are making more profit from the business. So in a sense, if we talk about, you know, the club near me, the management there, the security there has kind of no real incentive to care for the queer community because they're not part of that community. And then the people above them are not really going to care either, because you can tell by the fact that they've hired people that send the message that this is just a commercial place for you to exist, that they don't care. When there's a lot more kind of community, in a sense, for example, like Pussy Palace, you can tell that there's more there's more connection. So like an example, again, I just use those two examples to really bring that up.
I would say it was scary because apart from that friend that I've met, this was going to be the second time I was going to be around other LGBT people. So I was scared. I'm like, what do I expect? Like, what do I say? But I went in, everyone introduced themselves and it was good. I started going every week and started to build a friend group. And it was nice. It was really good. And it gave me the confidence to come out to one of my friends in college. Mosaic is a good place to start off if you're not confident or you want to make friends in a community, because I've met some amazing people. They were doing amazing things, and you start to build your network. and that builds your confidence further, and you start to realize like, okay, the stereotypical image of the community is not what it seems.
I think like autism's the thing that for me is the biggest issue. I think it's more the fact that I'm not very camp, and I get the whole biphobia experience. So you'll get stuff like members only, which is basically gay for you look straight. And you know, I've even had that whilst I've been an artist at Pride Fringe on a few occasions. Like I've gone from doing a gig in the village as a featured artist to going to another bar after a show and just dealing with that kind of crap just from doormen and stuff. Yeah, it's like, as much as we say like the mainstream culture is toxic, we have a lot of things in our own community we need to work on.
So I think what gay bars could do, all places that are safe, you know, just think of everyone. Just like, would people like that? No. You know, on a certain night, they could put on, you know, a certain specific sort of thing to attract people that would want to go there, which wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? You know, incorporating different cultural things, for example, to bring different cultures there, which could, you know, lead to a merge of people and sort of connections. And, you know, if you venture and you think, okay, now let's bring more people in, like, you'd be equally making as much money and making a positive impact at the same time. So why not? Why not?
I mean, I just thought something live as well, because you know how, and you might have even performed in some of them. Certain theatres, they hold these sort of relaxed performances where the lights are off and people can just walk around as they come and go. Stuff like that in a gay bar would be nice.
Once a month, we do a social for people to come down and, you know, just have a chat, and we talk about a topic, and the topic is picked, and then we have like a nice little social chat away from away from the, you know, heavy drinking environment. And it's mixed. It's not just gay men. It's a mixed group. Anyone can come. And it's really interesting because, you know, we have gay men and lesbians, and they, you know, chatting, and we're getting like gay men going, lesbians are like that, and lesbians going, gay people are like that, and like, you know, it's quite interesting. It's interesting to see how, you know, we're so, even as a community, even though we're LGBTQ plus, we're still so divided in terms of what lesbians, gays, trans, bis, all, where we're all at. For me, I think it's helped me to connect to my own identity, because I got into a bit of a cycle of just assuming every gay person just wanted to have sex, they didn't actually want to get to know me.
Not true.
So while we're doing the workshops and the community building, which is the mental and the emotional safety, a part of that is the physical safety. And sadly, we are having spikes across the country in homophobia, attacks, or problems outside, you know, across the country. We're having more and more hate crimes pop up, transphobia, like homophobia. So one of the things that we wanted to do was that first, like, we found, like, personally, if I was struggling, I wouldn't know where to go. I wouldn't want to bother someone, because that's just in my head. I know it's in my head. Like, but, you know, if you're struggling, or if you're on a night out and, you know, your date's going badly, or your phone's dead, or there's a problem, you know, you can feel like a burden, and even though it's in your head, it feels real, and you don't want to. And you don't want to bother someone. So we decided that to go into, you know, local places, not everyone, but local places, to just put up a sticker on your window that says "back off, back up." It's a yellow sticker, and it's just a way of physically showing someone that if you come in there, you know that you're going to be treated, that they're there, that they will help, that they're not going to just turn you away. We have had comments, but like, well, everyone do it, but like, yes, everyone should do it. And it'd be really awful if you went somewhere and they were like, no, we don't want to help you, go back outside where the guy's chasing you. But sometimes you're just in your own head, especially when you're panicking. But if you're panicking and you see the yellow sticker and you're like, I know I can go in there and they're going to help me. Sometimes that takes off all the pressure. Or if you're out and you're going like, oh wow, this date's awful, and my phone's dead, you know that they will help you charge your phone, or they will help you call a cab, or they'll get you out. And the other part of it was that sadly, the trans community also really doesn't like asking for help because they don't feel comfortable as well. So, because I think it would be the worst thing ever to be going through one stressful experience, to go into somewhere and get met with transphobia.
Yeah.
So on the stickers, like, we do say, that this is a queer organization. You're opening yourself up to queer people, or part of the community is trans people, and that we don't want someone coming in who's trans and people don't know how to, respect the pronouns or respect who they are as a person, and so we do ask people, we do offer some training on that if they want to, like, to really just understand. And we have more progression on where we want to go with training and how to really get across the message. Not that we want to specially train people like, oh, queer people need to be taught like this. There are respectful. That's basically it. So
I've been lucky that I've been involved with organisations where my mental health has been taken care of within the community. Albert Kennedy Trust did great things for me as a young person. Queer Family Tea are doing great things in terms of, like, just creating sober spaces and creating social opportunities for queer people to meet and, spend time together in sober spaces. So whilst I've had, like, time where I've not really integrated with the community, I've kind of been the kind of person where if something isn't right for me, I'll just sit back. But then if I see something that works for me, I'll just go with it. And Albert Kennedy Trust and Queer Family Tea in different periods of my life have both been fantastic.
My answer, we do not do enough.
Yeah.
In fact, you hardly hear about stuff in our community about helping people. I would pretty much say the only help we do hear about is, oh, are you on PrEP? Are you having safe sex? Everything just comes back to sex and intimacy, which is important for our community, but also we need to focus on those who actually need genuine help. In terms of stuff like helping those who are asylum seekers, the more political side of things,
Yes.
I don't see much. And even if there is any work being done, there's not much light on it. Even though I just had a friend message me yesterday asking to spread the word that they're looking for Arab speakers to help LGBT asylum seekers that have come into the country recently. We shouldn't have to be necessarily sending messages on WhatsApp to get help. You know what I mean? There should be organizations, or we should come together as a community and say to established organizations already in the community that, okay, this is the help that our people on the ground need. How can you help us? I would probably say, well, for over years, we've had to form in small groups and build up slowly. But I think that because we are in the technological age, it should be so much easier to do that. But you don't really get the attention. You're more likely to get, like, for example, in social media, you're more likely to get attention if you post a shirtless picture. But if you post something like, okay, this person needs funding because they've been homeless, or they need money to sort out visa issues or asylum seeking, you don't really get that much attention. It's harder. It's hard. I would probably say when we used to hang out around in Mosaic, I dressed more colorful. I tried to be trendy. Um, and that was partially because I was becoming more confident and being able to dress how I want and look how I want. And that helped me to become more comfortable in my appearance because back then I was very insecure. Interestingly now, um, which is kind of sad, I would probably say my kind of fashion is changing more towards neutral or dark colors and trying to not be as flamboyant, if that's the right word, in terms of my color schemes. Um, and I think that comes back just to being fed up with the community and not trying to dress to look like like I'm a part of the community. I just want to stay low key now and trying to fit in with everyone else. Um, and even though I do that, I still get stares. So I don't know what it is. Um, I don't want to say I still dress gay because I don't know what that means, but I would probably say my identity as a gay man and how I dress, even if I still try to fit into the norm, still looks like I'm on the outside.
It's one of those things where, for me, my bisexuality is, for me, it's just my sense of expression. Sometimes I'll look at clothes and I'll buy the women's option because I like the fit. It slims out a bit, you know. Would I wear a crop top? Not right now because I've got my winter coat. But it's one of those things in the future I'd love to. And it's one of those things I like wearing the dress. When I wore a dress to the awards show, people were like, "Do you want a wig? Do you want makeup?" I'm like, "No." No, but you're wearing a dress. Like, do you want stilettos or whatever? No, I'm wearing trainers. They're like, "Okay, so you're wearing a dress, but like the rest is boy stuff." I'm like, "Yeah." Because you know it's a wedding dress. Yeah, but you don't wear a wedding dress. So it's one of those things where for me it's always pushing boundaries. From a young age, I just liked just wearing whatever I wanted.
Love it.
There's something free about like having a cape or a gown or a cloak that's just like, oh, well, girls have like 100 different options to wear. What is it from a play suit? They say all these different things. I'm like, what even is that? They're like, oh, you don't know what a blah 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 is. It's like a short skirt that's this and that. I'm like, mate, I've got jeans or trackies. I'm like, wow, expression, shirt, jeans, trackies. Like, what else can a man wear? It's just the same rinse and repeat. So for me, bisexuality is like push the boat out. Where like I'd buy fucking girls' shoes, I'd buy coats, everything. It's just like, I express myself in the way that I see fit, and from a young age, I like pink. I like to wear pink.
I love pink,
and it's one of those things where I just, sometimes I just want to be a bit feminine. Just want to be a bit masculine. Either way, it doesn't really matter. And my dress sense can sometimes express that, sometimes not.
Our community is so amazing, but we have been so oppressed that we still try to emulate the binaries of heterosexuality. And it comes back down to mask or femme or top or bottom, black or white. It's literally a divide. We mirror the heterosexual community, and it comes back down to our own detriment. We're already oppressed, and then we're still oppressing each other. Harvey went missing.
Oh God!
When Harvey went missing after Heaven, it was good that our community kept on posting him and trying to get information. But unfortunately, that came to a sad end. But what was quite frustrating is that I don't think there was much media coverage on him, like on major news platforms. And obviously, we have people in our community that work in all areas in society, so many. And it was sad that he didn't get that much coverage. And I remember, I think the news broke out on a I think the news broke out on a Saturday, I think. I'm not too sure. And then 2 days later, I was on the news and this white lady, she went missing. Yeah, she went missing. She went missing on a Sunday. Literally, she went missing like 2 nights ago and she was already on the news as breaking news, where Harvey was missing for 3 weeks and I did not see anything. And it's quite sad. It's quite sad that when it comes to serious issues with our community, the only thing the media will, going back to the media, they will only just show the sexual side or the party side of our community, but they won't show the real issues or the stuff that's really important. And in regards to that situation, I find it so appalling that in a country that has, I think, the second most surveillanced city in the world, that it took them so long to track his whereabouts, especially just by embankment. It's not a few minutes away from Scotland Yard, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was right there. All of that happened right there, and you cannot solve that issue. There's a lot of questions that we can't answer right now, but
That's true.
it's something that we need to look into.
What really annoys me is that there's so much sexism and homophobia within the Black community, even though the Black community has suffered so much discrimination, being enslaved, being taken their rights. Like, I think that is something that I'm very, very, very passionate about, because I don't want people fighting for their rights, but just for their rights. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
And what I loved the black and the brown element being added to the pride flag, because it kind of unites this. And I personally would love to add some sort of like feminist symbol into that as well, because like if you add together all the female and female identifying people in this world, with everyone that is let's say non-white, and with everyone that is part of the LGBT community, this will be the absolute world majority. And I think I personally, and then this is not the minority. It's not, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a minority flag. It is the flag for the majority, the world majority.
And I think in some areas, they're even more homophobic than they've ever been, and are openly homophobic in some areas, especially living here in America. They're proud to be homophobic, and I think that's a recent change, as you've seen trans politics in particular moving forward. I think that's certain parts of society are very threatened by that, and which is crazy, and I think as a consequence, politicians have used that, right-wing politicians have really used that to get power, to keep power, to divide and conquer people. The two things that they talk about in this country, which get people going, is abortion and gender politics. And if you can spout a lot of ignorance about gender politics and about trans people, you're going to get a lot of people in your side, because people are very religious, and really the religious right has been taken as a very political wing to it. So they are all about getting people in power so that they can use that power to do whatever they want. And they're not religious people, really. They don't have any religious ideals, or they don't, their interpretation of the Bible, for instance, is completely warped to their, viewpoints. It's not about religion. It's not about being good people. It's not about the 10 Commandments. It's about getting power by any means necessary. It's about very, very organized. It's not. There's a book called what's it called? Hold on. It's called The Power Worshippers by Catherine Stewart, and it's a really book I think everybody should read. It should be on a curriculum, because it really details very precisely exactly how the right wing are doing it, exactly how they've got power, and exactly how they're organizing themselves. I mean, she goes around to all these conferences pretending to be a Republican, or, looking like a Republican, looking very safe. And here's all kinds of stuff. And they're very organized and they're winning. It's working.
So Germany, for example, has now got a minister for queer issues.
Wow.
So all he does is to improve life for queer people. So his job is to make it practical, not theoretical.
Yeah.
And I think that is the way forward. And I think that's phenomenal. I think that's incredible for a country to be like, oh, this is like, we have a queer minister, and he is leading a huge team of people to improve the life of LGBTQ people, of queer people, to work on trans rights, to work on equality, to work on, I don't know, adoption rights. So like all the practical bureaucracy stuff that needs to be done in order to like effectively change it. He could start new centers, and the new centers can hire people who make this their, you know, their life, who get paid for that 40 hours a week, so they can, do you know what I mean? Because like, otherwise everything would always just kind of like try to like, you know, last minute compensation of something that goes wrong. Like over long term, you need people who can make a living with it and then spend their lifetimes, their 40 hours a week, investing that into improving the situation, rather than someone, I don't know, making space on their sofa, which is also, you know, an option, but not like a long-term solution, because the next person will then be homeless. And then what if that one sofa is already filled? There will be another sofa, but there also will be another homeless person. So I feel like in order to make a long-term difference, this is the way to go, through politics.
Love of my life, you've hurt me. You've broken my heart, and now you leave me. Love of my life, can't you see? Bring it back, bring it back. Don't take it away from me, because you don't know what it means to me.